Okay, so what we're going to do now is take this rough block out and we're going to start refining it. And we're going to dynamesh things together and make it look real pretty and whatnot. So let's go ahead and start doing that. The first things that I want to do is eventually I'm going to start dynameshing things together. So I want things in the same polygroups. The things that I want separate for now are, I want the arms together, the hands together, but separate from the arms. The shoulders part of the arms, the breast together, the torso together, the legs together, and then the feet together. So, and then probably the head and neck as well. That neck might be just a little bit too long, but I kind of like it. But I'm going to move that down just a bit. There we go. Okay, that's better. Still have that long neck, but it just feels a little bit more integrated. Okay, so first I'm just gonna simply put this stuff all together. So they're all of the same polygroup. I'm gonna refine these shoulders just a little bit so they have more of the deltoid in them. Right now they're simple balls, and I want to kind of actually have them be the shape of the shoulder. So isolate them, and then I'm going to just pull these out so the shoulder actually kind of, comes out over, kind of hugs around the arm just a little bit. And kind of hugs back too. So it's kind of making that shape just a little bit better. Still flat with a high peak, and then kind of swoops down to another peak, and then yeah, perfect. Okay, so now let's add these. I'm going to just keep the shoulders separate for now in their own. Oops. And Control W, Command W will actually polygroup visible things. So that's my shortcut for those. Same with the breasts. Control W to make polygroup out of the visible. I'm going to do the same thing with the legs. And I'm tapping on points to make them disappear. Let's keep the neck separate for now. And the reason I'm keeping things separate is just to have more control. So, eventually I'm going to add in some butt cheeks, and I want a little bit more. I want the junctions to be really crisp and really clean. So if I keep them separate for now, when I dynamesh them together, those edges will just be really sharp and really great, and that's what I want. Okay. Let's just change the color of that so it's a little bit different. There we go. Okay. Kind of looking a little bit rigid, so I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna pull. Oops. This back just a titch. push that forward and rotate. I'm going to rotate that back just a bit. Okay, there. So now I'll take this and I'll start refining some parts to it. So I don't have everything's not just really simple things. Oh yeah, I need to do the hands and the wrists. And I'm going to put these actually in a separate subtool just to keep them cleaner, because I'm not actually going to Dynamesh those. I'm going to redo the hands completely. Let's do split hidden, and then now I can make my own polygroups out of that. The rest I can kind of fudge around. Okay. Good. So let's start adding in stuff with my Z modeler. I just, quickly add in like more of the rib cage, switching over to my move topological, and this will just start to help me define these areas just a little bit more. And I want that, the top of the rib cage to be a little bit more apparent. Maybe add another loop right around here so I can start defining the hips just a little bit more. Maybe start pulling out where the butt might be, add in another loop. And I'm just kind of slowly building up things. Maybe not have that poke out so much, but maybe even lean in a little bit to kind of show the center line of the stomach, separation of the abs. Whoops. Maybe add in a split. If I hover over any of the either the face, the points, or the edges, if I hold down Shift, then I get more options for the insert or for the Z modeler brush. So in this case, I want to split. If I go to split, whoops. Actually, I want to bevel. If I bevel these, that's exactly what I didn't want. Bevel. It should not do that. There we go. For some reason it was doing something weird. I just threw a delete hidden real quick. Just so now I have a little bit softer curve there. I can start integrating this just a bit more, trying to line up some of these polys. it's not going to be super important that they're great, perfect. I just want to make sure that they're close. I'm going to turn off the hands for now so I can just see, where things are going. Down here, do another insert. Again, hovering over the edge. And then I can change my options. Now we're going to have like an inside curve to an outside curve that's weighted toward the inside of the knee. Make sure that that's kind of pulling up just about the top of the kneecap, just to get the stylized kneecaps a little bit slanted. Oops. You're going to do the same bevel here. See modeler, hover over the edge, go to bevel. I don't know why. Let's do another delete hidden, see if that was it. Yep, for some reason that's the case. Want to pull this out slightly because it does come out, and just start to form kind of the back of the calf just better. Let's try to get more of a little bit of a curve in here. Get that slant. The way I remember the slant of the legs is kind of like, I don't know where this tip came from, but I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's like an angry face. You got their angry eyes pointing down and then the mouth pointing up. Okay, that's good. Maybe one more insert mesh or insert loop right here, just to, I'm going to try to space these out evenly, so that they're not so spaced, I guess. Another one here, maybe two more here actually. This can be a little bit more narrow. Still looks a little bit better if one side's a little bit raised. Got another one just to even out that curve a little bit. Out of the, everything's more or less flat on the inside, even down to the toes. I'm not worrying about her toes at this point. They're going to be covered with shoes, so I'm just going to try to get the foot form by adding in maybe a couple edge loops. Oops. And make sure you're tapping on the edges when you're making these, because if I don't, then I'm doing a Q mesh, which is an extrude, which I don't want to do. Just pull that down. You have it weighted, like the high point is at the big toe, and then everything will be weighted to the outside of the foot, so it kind of has top pointing down. I try as much as possible to avoid parallels. Parallels are just, they're not really pleasant to look at. As far as a character design goes, at least. So try to avoid parallels, try to keep things at a good taper. Now that I have more foot form, I can kind of start shaping the foot to be weighted towards the front. Has the the hook of the foot on the inside. Okay, maybe just one more span with a Z modeler brush. Oops, right there. That's good enough. And then just so I can have a top of this foot and control maybe where the ankle placement might be. That's enough definition for now, like for that foot. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Yeah, so I just want to define some of these things just a little bit more. Some areas just a little less. And really all I'm doing is just doing little nudges at a time. And when things start coming together, that's good. More or less enough definition for her torso. Oh, I deleted her arms. Look at that. I'm gonna bring those back. Let's just save this as 2. Let's load up her arms again. I'm glad that I make saves so I can go back in time. We'll just take this and append it. But first I want to delete kind of the geometry I don't need. Delete hidden, then append, new arms. Hidden again. Maybe this has delete hidden. Okay, let's try that again. Merge down. Beauty. So now we gotta kind of shape these a little bit more. Right now it looks like her bicep's kind of pointing up. And I want the bicep actually points down. Especially in this phase. Keep these little subtle hints, and I'm going to start adding just little bits of detail. The forearm I'm actually really liking right now. Still add in maybe one more loop just to have some more definition. I'm also going to separate the head because I'm going to do the head separate at this time, at another time. So split hidden. Okay, just refine the neck just a bit more, and then I'll probably be done with this initial like block out. Just giving some curve to that. Whoops. Neck, so it has kind of a better integration to the head. One more span here. So again, we can integrate things just a bit better. It looks like something got thrown off a little bit. Anyways, not going to be a big deal that it's a little off center. We'll fix that. So now, go out of transparency mode. I want, because they're smaller breasts, they're going to have smoother transitions. They're not going to be overlapping and saggy. They're going to be smaller and less heavy. Just refine that shape just a titch more. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add in some glutes. These two spheres. And more or less just position them the way I want. Before I position them, I'm going to move these in if I can. So this is where they're going to be squishing together, of course. And now just kind of form them a little bit, Women's butts have a lot, they form kind of out instead of more of a square. They kind of, have a heart shape to this. And we're thinking about those landmarks, so this is where that triangle would be. Maybe a little bit high right now. So just drop it down just a titch. I want that to be just a smoother transition in. And I don't want to Dynamesh when it's like this low of polys, because like it'll most likely look really jaggedy, and then I'm going to have to do a lot of polishing. So I'm going to try to avoid some of that by doing one subdivision to kind of smooth things out. So grow this. Make those all one poly group. And just kind of look over some things, make sure it's all looking okay. fix this neck just a little bit so it rolls up off the spine. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. Now I'm going to do just one subdivision to kind of smooth things out to see how that looks, and then I'll do a Dynamesh once I'm kind of satisfied with the smoothness of everything. That kind of shrank everything a little bit. So that shrank everything, which is kind of not what I wanted. So I'm going to try to fix it by just inflating just a titch. Here, I'm going to keep, just to see that I'm keeping the proportions when I inflate. If I do Shift S, I'm doing a screenshot of my Z tool. So now when I subdivide, I can kind of have a comparison to what I need to inflate this to. So because when you subdivide, it kind of shrinks everything just a little bit. I want to see if I can fix that by just going into deformation on your over here and hitting the inflate just a titch. Well, that kind of does it for me. Maybe a little too thick. I'm going to just go maybe 5. 4 maybe. 4. Yeah, that should do it. Maybe. Yeah, that'll do. That'll be just fine. I'll just compare it over here real quick. He's still just a little bit skinnier. That's okay. This will be a little bit more telling. It's almost right on, so that's perfect. Okay, so to clear this, this screenshot you did, just hit Command or Control N, and that clears your, your artboard. And now you're gonna have free range to do this again. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna refine those areas again so they have smoother transitions. As things kind of got lost when everything got smoothed out. And again, though I'm not really making those landmarks just yet because it's still so low, I'm remembering about, they're constantly in my head of like, okay, these are things that will help sell the idea that she's real, that there's an actual, that she's not real, but like that she'll just have that instant relatability because there are certain things that that she has that all people have. So by keeping some of these things is just designing it so it's more relatable and appealing. Still trying to keep high points of things like the shoulders. Just pulling these arms so they're actually going right underneath, right to the armpit. Just a better transition. The elbow's starting to look funky, so let's just clean up and make more of a shape out of this. This is the JA cut brush, which is just more of like a pinch brush, just to kind of get that pinch of the elbow. We'll have a gentle swoosh back into it so it has that S, a little, hint of that S curve. And we'll try to make, that peak of that forearm still come out as it rotates around and in. Okay, a little, it comes down. This is more or less straight. We want to have it come down and then just peek out the bottom a little bit again. Okay. Now I want to make sure I'm defining, those that rib cage just a little bit better. So I'm just gonna pull that out just a titch. So then you see the top of the rib cage. Shape that just a titch more. And then it goes into the, where the ab muscles are, into where belly button is, which is more or less right here. And then the standard brush is going to try to sculpt out some of these things, like try to integrate some of this stuff a little bit better to show you can see where some detail would be, and just tap to kind of smooth some of these things out. The arms, they're getting kind of too much of a weird thing going there. Let's try to get a better curve, a better angle. I'm just thinking about these things because these, her stomach will be shown, a little bit of, the side chest will be shown. So just some things I want to be seen. We'll have a little bit more areas of interest. And then peek in with here. Try to define the belly button. Oops, why can't I switch? And try to pull out where that bone would be, maybe the asus bone. Pinch around. go up at the top and kind of roll around there. Okay. Let me pull this down just a titch and pull it out just a titch. So really this is just, refining things until everything starts working together. I want the thighs to just translate in here a little bit better. The knees I'll just quickly define a little bit more. You get a hard edge on the inside and then kind of pushes itself out on the, it has this weird shape to it. Oh. And no, I don't need all that definition. These are just design choices that I'm making. And everything's probably going to change later anyway. So let's move those hands back into place. Do a quick save. And start integrating some of this stuff a little bit better. Now the shin actually has, that's more triangular up the front. So I'm going to pinch just where the shin bone would be, and it's got this big, curve in it, the shin bone. So if I can get that and kind of have it flow into the foot, that's good. I'm going to put a little bit more curve into here because it's kind of getting a little flat. Have that flow a little bit better. Bring it in just a titch more right here. So now, like the big heavy sculpting, more or less, if I was just going to take this from a high poly sphere and pull these around, or if I was going to take this from a Z-sphere, actually, and try to mush this, I mean, that would take a lot longer than this. This is actually really quick, really quick process. Okay, let's just shape these a little bit better too, now that they have some more definition. Again, they're weighted towards the outside. The peak's pointing outward. And then they're going to be pushed together slightly because they are in a bra. The skin will roll up here, giving a little bit of cleavage, but not a ton. okay. I'm not worried about the feet. And now, like, it's probably a good time, more or less, to Dynamesh this character. Just making sure some things are, there's no extreme gaps or anything between certain things. There's right here. So I just want to close these things up. So all the transitions, except for where I want them, are going to be really big. The butt, I want this, they're kind of like hooked in. You know. And then they kind of point out, and shape outward. Also, the thigh has a high point that's outside and kind of comes in across where the muscles are. So I'm going to just use my pinch and kind of try to have a high point on the outside. Again, not in the middle, just a little bit on the outside that kind of comes across. Oops. Okay, so at this point I'm going to Dynamesh things together. This first Dynamesh will be, I'm going to keep the groups on, because right now she's all separate groups, polygroups. That's so I can still take care of everything separately, so I can manage the type of connections that I'm going to have and all that jazz. So let's do the first Dynamesh on this, and I'm still going to keep my Dynamesh really low. Dynamesh under geometry. Let's just see what this gives us. No polish, just Dynamesh. No freeze. Horrible. And I want to turn on groups. I forgot to say that. Turn on groups. That will make sure that when you Dynamesh, every polygroup will be still a separate piece. But these the arms, the knees, the legs, the elbow, these will all come together in one piece. Just there's one more thing I want to do. Pull this out just a titch. Okay, there we go. Save before you Dynamesh, because this is a part where it could crash. Doing a quick save. Okay, now let's see what this does for Dynameshing with groups. Still maybe a little bit too low, not too much higher than what we had. Seeing these things kind of get warped. I want to go just a little bit higher, maybe 240. And again, your Dynamesh settings may be way different from what this is doing. So keep that in mind. Don't be like, oh, I put in the same number that you did and I got a completely different result. That's fairly normal, because Dynamesh is based on kind of size and things. So it's based on this square bounding box. And anyways, smooth. So I'm just going to start smoothing some things out. Ooh, that's one thing I don't want, is those breasts to be, I want those breasts to stay separate. Maybe they're touching. No, they're not touching. I'm going to do them as separate groups. Auto group. Auto group the butt cheeks, so they're different. And now we'll Dynamesh and be able to move forward. Okay, Now I'll just quickly do some, some light smoothing out of some things. But you see, like, by keeping those separate, this connection becomes a whole lot smoother, until I really want to get that detail, which isn't right now. And again, because I've done kind of the heavy work at the beginning, a lot of this is going to be just little touch-ups. Just quick polish, and it keeps the majority of what I had. It just smooths things out. Keeps the high points, keeps it keeps the detail that I wanted, and I don't have to worry about like a mass amount of information at once. It's just little pickings. The neck. At this point, I'll probably turn on perspective just to get a better look at it. That's getting the proportions that I want. So I think that's going to be good. So now I'm going to be able to start actually sculpting on this, and once I have those things sculpted, I will be able to Dynamesh everything together. So let's go ahead. I'm going to save. We'll call this the end of this video. The next one will be adding in, the final detail for the body.